얼굴 나와도 됩니까?
네?
얼굴 나와도 돼요?
아니, 안 됩니다.
아, 뭐 안 돼.
찍습니다. 이거 절대.
네, 못생긴 사람 얼굴 나와도 됩니다.
나 수거 좀 다 쓰고 있잖아요.
제가 이렇게 좀 가려주시면 안 됩니다.
아, 됩니다. 새까맣게 가르겠습니다.
죄송한데 마스크도 주는 거야?
저쪽에서.
신주사님 어떻게 잘 지냈습니까?
예, 이제 잘 지내고 있습니다. 아, 바쁜 게 없어요.
그때 뭐 하는 거야?
촬영합니다.
촬영?
개천절날 음식입니다. 다 먹었네? 자, 왔습니다.
Your Excellency, Deputy Prime Minister Sardar Mujakov, and Her Excellency, Minister of Physical Education Haripina Sin, and Excellencies, Jaegmin Yorobun, ladies and gentlemen. Let me first of all start by thanking all of you having made it this far here tonight to celebrate Korea's National Foundation Day and Armed Forces Day, despite all the difficulties from the pandemic. Promote the happiness of all people, declared our forefathers when the Korea's first kingdom was founded 4,353 years ago. We Koreans have tried to live up to this spirit. At our present times, for instance, look at all those amusements that young and jolly Koreans are offering to their contemporaries over the world, through pleasant as well as sporty singing and dancing, enjoyable as well as educational dramas, TV series, and animations. Even Korean technologies in tiny and mobile gadgets have become indispensable components of our pleasant daily lives. These days, fellows as young as BTS came to stand in front of world leaders at a serious place like the United Nations. Another Korean drama with a title name including a sea animal is becoming a global hit again, catching up the cute Korean baby song years ago about other sea animals like a baby shark, mommy shark, daddy shark, grandma shark, grandpa shark. The happiness of all spirit is more seriously engraved into our way of living in Korea. Respect for the dignity, freedom, and rights of other people and the society as a whole were the touchstones whenever we are at a loss. During this uncharted venture against the virus, Koreans were able to draw a social accord that they would rather accept the inconvenience from testing and tracing so as to preserve open, free, and healthy communities. Korea has never locked down any part of her territory yet. And at the global level, Korea championed the international solidarity drive and willingly committed more than $200 billion worth of contributions to the COVAX program. Meanwhile, for the continuum of human progress and preparation for the post-corona times, Korea kept working with the global society in many arenas. President Moon Jae-in never failed to attend the United Nations General Assembly meetings for the last 5 years. At all regional and global levels, Korea never bowed away from any homework on the pretext of the pandemic, but it has taken its full share at G20, G7, OECD, APEC, ARF, and ASEAN Plus meetings and so on. In addition, Korea hosted the P4G Seoul Summit so that the international community may not forget the imperative global agenda like a climate crisis and sustainable development. The first and biggest commitment of RRC Fund was from the Korean government, and many Korean private institutions are doing their humanitarian portions as well. When UNCTAD recorded the first ever case of a developing country officially becoming an advanced economy this year, Koreans tried not to regard this as their own prestige, but rather as their bigger obligations to the human community. Throughout our millennia-long history, ladies and gentlemen, we Koreans met the challenge and made the change, and in the meantime, we tolerated. Situations around the Korean Peninsula have received tremendous attention from the global community for years. Korea has stood firm in its stance towards a peaceful and prosperous Korean Peninsula, and it will never stop rendering its best amongst any difficulties and challenges. Ladies and gentlemen, and excellencies, Korea and Uzbekistan have a unique history of friendship. Diplomatic interactions started at least 1,400 years ago, and record of exchange in knowledge go back to 6 centuries ago. During the turmoil of the world history, Uzbekistan people were the exception who not only took care of our families and relatives, but also heartily welcomed them. Last month, it was my honor as an ambassador to be at Gyeonggi, Uzbekistan, when His Excellency President Mirziyoyev's voice was underlining Korea as one of his top partner countries. In preparation for the 30th anniversary of diplomatic relations next year and expanding our special strategic partnership, our two governments redoubled their diplomatic exchanges this year. In terms of frequency, at every level of bilateral intergovernmental fora, we met more often than the non-pandemic times, functioning through on and off lines. January 28th was Korea's first official and full-scale online bilateral summit day, of course with Uzbekistan. The Speaker of the Korean National Assembly paid a visit to Uzbekistan. Other key government officials like head of Korea's 3 law enforcement agencies visited Uzbekistan. And many other important visits are on the schedule to Uzbekistan. With or without pandemic, all 3 branches of government of the two countries will have marked another new history before the end of the year. At the economic front, let me first of all commend our businessmen for their endless efforts and dedications. Out of the more than 900 Korean companies here, not a single company has given up to the virus, not even for a moment. They remained where they were with their Uzbek partners, on construction sites, factory grounds, and in their fields and offices, stationary or mobile. My special thanks goes to our friends working for and with Asiana and Uzbekistan Airways, who were brave like soldiers at battlefields, dedicated to protect the bilateral economic flows despite clear and immediate risks and costs from the pandemic. In the interim of the lockdown and the slowdown, ICT companies of the two countries even improved our business environments through faster and stable internet services in Uzbekistan, as you must have already noticed. So as to shore up the mutual investment and trade volumes and to expand our trading range beyond the bilateral horizon, relevant international legal frameworks are being crafted by officials and experts in Seoul, Tashkent, and in Geneva. This year, we agreed to $1 billion worth of additional official cooperation program for the next 3 years. This is twice as much as the amount of the past 3 years. This testifies not only to our special friendship, but also the potentials we see each other. If my guest of honor Deputy Prime Minister was sitting in a comfortable chair on the podium now, I would go on and on for hours and hours like this about our economic relations. Health is the area our two countries will certainly achieve a world exemplary cooperation model. Let us congratulate the beautiful premise of the National Children's Medical Clinic, who successfully constructed and now fully functioning thanks to the hard work of our health workers and construction engineers. I'd like to take this opportunity to profess my admiration to the director of the hospital for last week's success of surgery of one of the most difficult heart defect on newborn babies. Our new government will continue to be aiming at the best medical complex in the whole region, which is going to be home to a general hospital, a cancer center, a medical education institution, and a research hub along with our pharmaceutical education projects. The cultural area was not hindered by the virus either. In sports, athletes and leaders of the two countries demonstrated how much we can achieve together, as was showcased in the case of taekwondo and football, with rugby being our next dream. Korean educational institutions have resumed accepting students and providing scholarship. More than 10,000 Uzbek students are currently taking courses on our offline campuses of Korea in either of the two countries. Around 25,000 Uzbekistan citizens are learning the Korean language at this very moment. The two governments just begun to discuss how to best help them in a systemic way. Top Korean animation for children have also been aired in Uzbekistan, and this week, under voluntary and stricter quarantine measures, Korea Week in Uzbekistan is hosting traditional performances, a cuisine festival, a taekwondo contest, a quiz contest, and so on. Ladies and gentlemen, let me finally turn to our partnership responding to COVID-19. My heartfelt thanks must be extended to the government of Uzbekistan for its friendship shown to Korea and its citizens here. Even at the peak of the pandemic, Uzbekistan has never closed its air route to Seoul. It took exceptional care of Korean community and businesses as regards treatment and vaccination. The Korean community responded with the model compliance of all COVID rules of both countries and organized many heartwarming voluntary activities for their neighbors. World-renowned Korean medical experts rushed over to Tashkent in order to fight together on the initial campaign against the virus in Uzbekistan. Korea's first exception to its export ban on COVID-related medical equipment was given to Uzbekistan. Starting from the urgent provision of a test kit at the early stage of COVID, the Korean government was quick to follow through with a comprehensive rapid response program for Uzbekistan for consecutive 2 years. Our two countries and their peoples made so many the first, the only, and the exceptional episode. So when this is all over, we'll be very proud of what we have done together. 존경하는 재국민 여러분의 ladies and gentlemen, once again, let me extend my sincere gratitude to all of you in this hall who willingly complied to our additional precautionary measures, including the PCR test yesterday. I believe yesterday we set up together another exemplary model about our public gathering. Now it is time we cherish and enjoy the reception night at this Korean cultural center. Thank you very much. 감사합니다. 말씀 주셨습니다.
We have prepared 2 short performances before the dinner. Let me first introduce Korean traditional instrument Haegum player, More, and the State Chamber Orchestra of the National Instrument Sagdiana. They will present Taepyeonga, a song of peace.
먼저 식사 시작 전 해금 경창과 우즈벡 전통춤 공연을 짤막하게 준비하였으니 축하 공연 후 이접하여 주시기 바랍니다.
Please, let's greet them with applause.